we have a program that we call CASH, which is knowledge, attributes, skills, or knowledge, skills, habits, and then attitude in the middle of that. And CASH is the way that you actually build to get to where you're actually creating habits. And in that, what you find out is that success breeds success and failure breeds failure. So if you aren't celebrating the successes to be able to build on that, to have more successes, then you're possibly doing the opposite. You're building failures that keep building failures on top of it. And so it's so important to recognize those successes, to be able to, have fun with that, celebrate it, and move on to what's the next thing that we want to be able to have success. And it's something that we found that is very important, especially in an organization where measurements take an important role. We have what's called our commitment to excellence, and there's measurements, there's goals that we see that's what we need to measure on to be able to do the right thing for our customers and everything. And to hit those measurements, they're tough measurements to actually be able to get to, and you want to be able to celebrate those. One example, we just came, we're coming out of the pandemic. We as a company have taken the whole company and their significant others to Maui 3 times prior, based on goals that they've needed to meet and exceed to be able to get to, and they actually achieved them. Now, 1 year, so there was a 4th time that we had that as a program. We call them BHAGs, Big Hairy Audacious Goals.
Right.
And the 4th time we didn't meet it, but that 4th time was in 2008 when the housing market went down and we weren't able to get there. Well, coming out of the pandemic, one of the things that we looked around as a leadership team, because we were deemed essential through the pandemic, because you don't want to leave people stranded who've sold their homes and where are they going to move to. Here, our team has done just remarkable job through the pandemic. We have chosen to take everybody to Maui, including their spouses or significant others, just as a reward for the success that we've had as a company, instead of having to meet goals. So here we announced that last year, and we even announced it in October, and we said anybody hired by the end of the year gets to go. So even folks that weren't hired yet actually are getting to go to Maui here in May, when we are taking everybody to go there. But all the other times we would normally have that tied to measurements to actually be able to hit, to be able to get to them, to make that happen. So it's important to be able to tie that of why we're wanting to be able to make everything happen that way. So we do things all the way down to where, there's team members of the quarter, of the year, projects, divisions of the quarter of the year. We have star programs. So when you've gotten to the top of level of your what you actually can achieve, then you actually can get a star that goes on your business card, and you can be a 5-star, or if after you've gotten 5-star, you could be a 5 diamond. And after you've been a 5 diamond, you could be a 5 emerald. And it just shows that you are someone that's been able to hit the measurements that go there. And they're tough measurements to actually be able to get to meet. So it keeps people engaged and drives them to be able to celebrate what they've done, but also celebrate what others have done. It's always good to have friendly competition, but it's always great to recognize and reward those that really, make it to the top.
Yeah, I like the tie-in to kind of learning and growth there, where I think very few people would disagree with the idea that it's important to recognize people for a job well done, to show appreciation. And I think we know that this is kind of a core human need, right? People need to feel recognized for the work that they do. I like how you also tied in that if you're continuously reinforcing the things that you want to see, you're going to see those things more often, right? Whereas if you're continually highlighting what's wrong, okay, you might correct some issues, but if that's all you're ever talking about, you're probably going to see a lot more of what's wrong, right? Is that kind of what you found?
Correct. I would say the most brilliant thing that David has done was 30 years ago, he recognized that was not his strength of carrying that. And he hired our, shortly after that, CEO, John Johnson. And John Johnson, for the last 28 years, has said the same thing over and over and over, and keeps saying it over and over and over. And people understand, well, that's what's important. That's what we want to drive to. And that's what we have success when we actually get there. And it especially from a senior leadership standpoint, it's so important to keep communicating that over and over till you're blue in the face, even though when you go home at night, you're like, God, I can't say that anymore.